Good morning and welcome to Sun Up Saturday. If you've got something you'd like to buy, sell, or trade, give us a call, 792-5842. Grab a cup of coffee and enjoy local news, weather, and events that are going around in the Hill Country. And now here's your host for Sun Up Saturday.
Next up is Mr. Larry Westfall. He is a volunteer officer, a board member, and a chair of the Water Rate Committee for Kerrville South Community Action Group. That's a lot, and they do a lot because there's a lot of confusion and I think wanting of answers for the Aqua Texas water rate increase, a big hot button issue going on right now. It just went in effect February 21st, 2012, just a few weeks ago. And since then, they have started this community action group. And Mr. Westfall is here. He's got all the information about it. And first of all, what is this community action group?
Well, the South Kerrville Community Action Group was really formed in the early 1980s. It is a volunteer nonprofit corporation, and it represents the community interest of citizens who live outside the city limits in Kerr County, and it's there for the purpose of enabling them to focus on and deal with issues that are facing the community. And so things like deed restrictions, concerns about trash along the streets and roads, anything that has a common cross-cutting community element about it potentially becomes a CAG subject to look at, to consider, and to facilitate and support action by the citizens.
Wow, that's really wonderful. Operating since the 1980s, so I'm sure y'all have taken on a lot of really hot button issues. And as for today, the hot button issue is the water rate increase. And can you tell us a little bit about why CAG got involved with that?
Well, we had our annual meeting of the CAG members the first week in March. And leading up to that meeting, we heard a lot from our citizens, and at the meeting, we heard an overwhelming dissatisfaction expressed in terms of the increase that Aqua is imposing for water rate purposes. And so, based on that rather overwhelming request on the part of people in the community, we concluded that we had to get involved in this and do everything we could to facilitate action and support our members.
Okay, so when these members want to come out and support, and they obviously express their concerns, what is it that they are actually disputing?
What they're disputing is this.
Oh, that's big.
This is a 37-page document that Aqua Texas sent out to its customers dated December 21. And I suspect that many people have long since lost this document. It is very difficult to even find yourself inside this document, but it is what came out to water customers, informing them that there would be a water rate increase imposed on February 21. And so, essentially...
And this happened without being able to speak out about it beforehand?
No one that I'm aware of had any input whatsoever into this. It was simply generated by Aqua at a point in time where they were ready to impose the rate increase.
That seems almost unfathomable that they would do that without contacting the communities first.
Indeed, and it's even worse. What makes it worse than that is the fact that for Kerrville South members, for our customers, the rate of increase is 67% based on a minimum water usage. And so, you know, if you compare that with other prices and other increases that you face, I don't know of anything that has gone up by an increment of more than 60% as this has. And you face that on the one side, and then you look on the other side. What Aqua Texas basically says is they are charging back for investments in the system, for improvements that are made, and for services that are provided. An average of $2,300 per household is to be recovered through the rate increase process over several years. And as we look at it, I guess, as our members look at it, we have a lot of trouble seeing improvements. we don't know of any. We have a major problem with service because service is now an 800 number that's answered on the East Coast. And you look at these things, and then you look up and down the streets and roads of our community, and what you see is black fire hydrants. Black fire hydrants basically translate into a fire hydrant that isn't really a fire hydrant. It's a fire hydrant that isn't certified and tested as meeting the water flow requirements and meeting the other safety issues associated with a fire truck's ability to come to that site, hook up, and adequately draw water to fight a fire.
My gosh, that seems like so much. And it's weird that a Texas entity would be operating all the way out of Timbuktu somewhere. That's kind of weird.
Well, Aqua is a very large national company, and they're not only present in the state of Texas, but they are present in an extensive way within the Texas. And essentially, over the last several years, Aqua has been buying up small water companies and adding them into their corporate complex of Aqua Texas. And I'm sure they're doing similar things in other parts of the country.
That kind of seems like it goes against the monopoly rule.
Well, it does. It would seem to some of us not to be an appropriate way to approach water service. But it's actually a way that has been authorized by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, and that TCEQ organization has jurisdiction over water rates in the state of Texas. And a few years back, they actually authorized the combining of all of these smaller companies and jurisdictions into something called the Southwest region, which is basically what this book talks about. That we're now a part of a Southwest region, which covers I think 17 counties. And scores of different small company consolidations and hundreds of subdivisions and other communities.
Now, I realize that it affects a lot of people, but I know that our organization here, the Kerrville South Community Action Group, CAG, they've been working really hard. It seems like almost on behalf of a lot of people, but what have y'all really done already for our community here?
Well, our first focus has been to secure protests to this water rate increase from impacted citizens. We learned early on in our contacts with with TCEQ, the commission that has jurisdiction over this at the state level in Austin. We learned that 1,000 protests from households that are impacted constitutes a base figure from which they will authorize and require an administrative hearing to be conducted as the first step in an appellate process. And so our work has been focused on this protest issue. As of last week, we were informed by our commission contact that they have 609 protests to date. And so they need 391 additional protests, and it is our first and foremost objective through our members and also through citizens at large to cause that number of protests to be filed to enter into this first level of reconsideration of what the